When we say textual analysis, it has to be based on grammar, comparative text from other places in the book, and context. Religious suppositions or responsibilities play no role in textual analysis. You believe, we believe plays no role here. Textual analysis is based on what the text says. We are not going to use our religious suppositions to force the text to mean what is not there. Genesis chapters 1. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, as you know it. This is the most famous passage in the Torah, and I believe almost everyone can quote it. But what most people don't realize is that the first two words of this verse, Bereshit bara, presents us with a problem. Reshis in Hebrew means beginning of, not just beginning of. In Hebrew, when you put a tav at the end, it means beginning of. Example, Reshis Hamasak, the beginning of the game. So if you translate the verse literally, what you have is, in the beginning of, God created the heavens and the earth. This does not make sense in Hebrew or English grammar. After beginning of, we should have a noun, but in this case, we have the verb bara, which means created. So we have a grammatical inconsistency in the first two words of the book. And this is deliberate. It's not an error. Rather, it's how to understand it. The message here is this. This is a book of study. It has to be studied with care, even word for word. If you start off your book with a problem that strikes the reader in the face, then the author is making an announcement that these books are books that are meant to be studied and not casually read over coffee or tea. There are many verses, as we would see, in the Torah that are elliptical. That means they leave out words or phrases, and the reader has to fill something in. We need to fill in the relevant noun here. And how do we do it? To solve this grammatical problem, we have to read the word bara, created, as if it were written boro, creating, which in English grammar is called a gerund. We keep the same alphabets, but change the vowels. Creating is a noun built out of a verb. Anything that can stand as a subject of a sentence is a noun. When we do this, we will have, in the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth. This reads fine, and the grammatical error goes away. But it's not written boro, it's written bara. That is true, but I will show you a direct parallel in the book of Hosea, the second verse. It says, Tekilas diber yeve behoshea. Tekilas means beginning of. Diber means he spoke. Same problem. Beginning of, he spoke. This is describing the beginning of God's communication to Hosea. And this is how it is solved. In the beginning of God speaking to Hosea. Genesis 1, if we use the same rule, apply the same rule, we'll then read, in the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth, like the stone edition of the Chumash has it. You have a grammatical problem in the Torah, and you have to solve it. To justify your solution, you have to appeal to other relevant texts in the same book. You have to show that what you say about the language is consistent with the language in the rest of the book. And this is what we just did. Now we have, in the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth was astonishingly empty. Darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the water. If you noticed, nothing has happened yet. This is all backdrop. This is setting the stage. Here is the situation before God spoke his first words. What was the situation? The earth was astonishingly empty. Darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the water. Nothing has happened. Genesis verses 1 and 2 is a dependent clause. The Torah has 2 verses describing the setting into which God created light. This is an entirely different picture. The Torah is picking up somewhere in the creation process. We are not getting creation from time 0. What is on the stage before God said, "Let there be light"? The heavens, the earth, darkness, the deep, and then the waters. Now, let us read the text how you have always read it, and I'll show you something. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Earth here does not mean the globe. It means dry land, because in verses 10 we are told, "And God called the dry land earth." So Genesis 1 will read how you've always read it. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the dry land. What is on the stage here? The heavens and the dry land. Now look at verses 2. "And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters." Wait a second. When did the waters come in? The waters are there without any pedigree, without any record of it being introduced onto the scene. That affects context. But when we read it literally, you don't have this problem. In the beginning of God's creating the heavens and the earth was astonishingly empty. Darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. The first thing created, according to the text, "Let there be light." And there was light.